Hello everyone, I'm Deanna Padaleone, and today I'm going to give you a short tutorial on how to use Google Docs. The first thing we'll go over is how to get to Google Docs. Your first option is to go up into the Omnibar, and you may type in docs.google.com, and that will take you to Google Docs. Our second option, when you open up Chrome and have signed in, you can come over to your waffle bar. There's 9 dots that are here. You click on the waffle and you should have in here Google Docs. So you can click and open it that way. Google Docs is Google's version of a word processing platform, very similar to Microsoft Word. There are some differences, but overall it is very similar. When you first open up Google Docs, you have an option to see a lot of templates that are in there. If you click on to see the templates, you'll see there are different ones for education, such as essays, reports. If you just continue to scroll down, you can see that, again, there's just different types that they have put together as far as templates already. There are some template letters and resumes that might be useful in your classrooms. So, like Microsoft Word, there are some templates that are in here. They are not quite as extensive as what I have seen in Microsoft Word, but they are there for you. Underneath that, when you open your docs, you'll see any recent documents that you have created in Google Docs. So I've got quite a list here. I can go through there. Again, organization here can be a little bit tricky. So there's a couple of different ways we can organize this as we are looking through. Our first one here, we have this drop down that says owned by anyone. It's right here. Okay, so I can click on this drop down and I could be owned by me. So that means that I will see only Google Docs that I have created, not ones that have been shared with me. I can do not owned by me. Those would be ones that people have shared with me. So that's a way that I can search that will kind of help me with that. Another option that I have is that I can change kind of organization and how I want to see things is I can switch between grid view. This is currently on grid view, and list view. That happens right here in this little box here. So if I click there, it's going to show me list view. So now I'm seeing all the same documents. I just have smaller icons next to them and they're in a list. This also gives me a little bit more information. So I can see who owns this one here. I can see when it was last opened by myself. And then I can also see over here these little people in this box. That means that it is something that has been shared with myself and other people. Actually, I believe that means that it is something that is sitting in a shared drive. This guy right here, these little guys, means that more people are sharing it. So you'll know if it's something that's just yours or shared with other people based on if you see anything next to it here. So this one here, this one doesn't have anything next to it. That means that it's not been shared by anyone. It's owned by me. So nobody else has access to this. The one above here, you can see there's the little people here. That means that one has been shared with other people. Even though it's owned by me, other people have access to see it. So those are things that you can see from the list view. I personally like the grid view because I like to be able to see a bigger example of what it is that I'm trying to look for. Sometimes I don't do a very good job naming my documents, and that will allow me to kind of look at them and be like, oh, yep, that's what I'm looking for. I can also sort right here from with some different options. So last opened by me, last modified by me, or I can search by the title. So if I want these to be like in alphabetical order, so I can click on the title, and that changes it so that now it is sorted by title. Okay, just as we could in Google Drive, we can also search for a document using any part of the word that we know might be part of that document. Again, this is going to pull up all documents if I have this selected, owned by anyone. Get that off there. So if I have it selected where it says owned by anyone, then I'm going to see documents that perhaps are shared with me in a shared drive or a shared folder. So if I want to see only ones that I've done to kind of cut that stuff out, I am going to go owned by me. And then that should allow me to only see ones that are owned by me. Okay. Now let's take a look at what we have when we're actually in a document and creating a new document. So there are several different ways to create new documents. One of the first is if we're at this main page here, we have this blank start a new document with the plus sign. I can also click up here in the pancake stack and I have a thing to go to docs there. We're just going to go ahead and click the plus. This will open a blank document for us that we can begin to work on. It is, as I said, just a basic word processor. You can type whatever you'd like in there. You have all options here. You can have a toolbar set up. So you have different options here for undo, redo. You can set different text settings. You have text styles, sizes. Again, your basic text stuff here. You can left align, center, right align, adding in bullets, numbered points. So again, basic stuff that most of us know about from using other word processing systems. We're going to take a quick look at each one of the menus across the top here. File is going to be one that you'll probably use the most. Right up at the top of File, you have the option for sharing. So there's two different ways to share documents, and this is very similar to what we talked about with Google Drive. So you can click share here, or right over here in this blue button, I also have a share. We're going to come back to that, and we'll talk about the sharing options in a moment. I can then under File create a new document. Okay, or I have from template. I can also go in to create a spreadsheet, presentation, form, any of those things from here as well, and that'll open those in a new tab to start working on. I can open other documents, make a copy. This is one of the things that's a little bit different here, is that I have the option when I'm done to download this in different formats. So I can download it in a Microsoft Word format if I know I'm sending it to somebody who does not have a Google account. I can download it in open document format. PDF is another big one. So there's all of these different options for you to download this document. So it does not have to just stay a .doc file type. I have the option to email it as an attachment, make available offline. Again, this is a good option for us to have and have our students do if they do not have internet at home, or if it's a project that you're working on and you know that you want to be able to work on it, but maybe you're traveling or something like that. You can make it available to work on offline, and then your changes will just sync up whenever you do reconnect to the internet. Version history is something that's pretty cool about Google Docs. So I can go in here and I can see a version history. On here, it will show me any changes that have been made through the course of time. This will also allow, if you have a student who says, I was really working hard and then I accidentally deleted something, you can go into version history and you will have an option to restore to that version. So maybe not all hope is lost. It'll restore to a version where they have at least some of the work done and they might just have to go back and redo a little. Also under File, we can rename our document. We can move it. Moving means that we're going to organize it somewhere in our Google Drive and move it to a specific folder if we would like to do so. We can publish it to the web if we would like to do that. We can get document details here. And then page setup, very similar to Microsoft Word, is where you would go to change margins, do some of those types of things. Edit, undo, redo, paste, pretty basic edit functions. You can change some of your view options in here. When it comes to insert, we've got a few different options here. One of the big ones is drawing. So, I mean, you can do images. You can upload those from your drive or from the computer. Lots of different ways to upload images. You could bring a table in. Drawing is a way for you to bring in either something that you want to draw in there, or an image that maybe needs to have text over the top of it. You would go to drawing, add new. If you don't have one saved in your drive, add new, and then you can again put an image, put text over the top of it, kind of do some of those things that are more publisher type of things. We'll look deeper at Google Drawings in a different training. You can bring in a chart, horizontal lines. So just these different options here for you. Formatting, again, pretty similar type stuff. Google Docs does now have the option for you to do columns. That was not one of its original options, but Google Docs is continuing to grow and change. Tools, again, a lot of the same type of stuff that we see in other word processors. Add-ons is something a little bit different, and add-ons are things that you can use with most of the Google suite that just enhance the use of that particular program. So this one is an equation editor. It allows you to put equations easier into Google Docs. So if you're doing a math teacher, there are all kinds of different add-ons and ones that are fantastic for education. And we'll probably do a training about those a little bit later on. And then, of course, there's always help. If you can't figure out how to do something, this is a great place to go and look at that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about sharing the documents. Before we do that, really quick, up here where this says Untitled, if you click in there, you can type a name for your document. Just simple like that. And then next to it, I could organize it. Remember, every time that you create something in one of the Google Suite options, so docs, sheets, slides, it's always going to save it in your drive. Okay, they are tied to your drive. If I want to organize that as I'm creating it, I can click here on my drive, and then I can choose the file that I want it to go into and then move it here. Then it's not just sitting in the drive, kind of in those random unorganized documents that are down below all of your folders that we looked at before. All right, let's look at the sharing options. So again, I told you there's two different places you can share. Here you have the big blue share button, or under File. If we go to Share, this is how we're going to allow other people to look at our document, and they can view it only, or if we want their assistance or we want to collaborate with other people, we're going to give them editing rights. A few different ways to do this. First, when we open up the share, we have the option to just enter people's email addresses. And then it'll share specifically with those people. When we do that, we also have the option to choose if they can edit the document. Do we want them to collaborate with us? Do we want them to be able to comment on it? So maybe we don't want them to change things, but we want their input if we need to change things. So commenting can be selected, or they can view only. It's just for their information. So we have those options. Then there's a couple of other options for sharing. If we go to Advanced, we'll be able to see here that there is a link that we can share if we want to send that out in a large blast, like email group or something like that, instead of putting in individual names. Who has access is something that we can also change. So right now, this is private. Um, I'm the only person that has access. If I invite people here, then their names will pop up under here and they'll have access as well, but only those particular people. Now, if I want to give access to anybody with the link, I click on that change access there, and I can give it to anyone at Canyon City School District with the link, then can then have access. This means they have to be signed in with their school district email. I can have it set so that anyone at Canyon City School District can find it and access it. That means it's going to be like if they were searching in a shared drive or anything like that, anyone with can find it if I have it set that way. I can change it so that anyone with the link, that means if I send it to somebody that's outside of the school district, they too will be able to open it and look at it. Or I can make it public so that anybody who searches for maybe the word Yoda would be able to find that document on the internet. So it depends on how I want to have that shared. Okay. But all of those different options. After I put people in here, I also have the opportunity to send a copy to myself or paste the item into the email. So few different options here. And then some really important things here. I can prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. So let's say that I added you as an editor because I wanted you to be able to collaborate with me, but I don't want you to change it so that other people can edit, or I don't want you to offer that for other people. So I can prevent that by clicking here as the owner. I can also disable the options to download, print, or copy. It just, again, gives a little bit more control about how much it's out there and what that looks like. Okay. And then one of the last things that I want to show you guys is how you can comment or do some editing with stuff. So a lot of times we're getting documents from our students, essays, things like that. And when we got that on paper, it was easy to kind of write a note to the side. The same thing will happen here. Will happen here if they have things written. And the way that works is if you put your cursor on something or even highlight it, then I can click up here on this open comment, okay? And I can add a comment in here. So if I click there, you'll notice that it kind of highlights this. And I could put a comment in here and be like, is it really your story? Or is it someone else's? So I could leave comments for my students in here and then click comment, and they'll be able to see things that perhaps I thought were wrong or that I had questions about. So that's a way that I can leave feedback for my students within Google Docs. I also have this spot up here where I know if I'm in editing mode, I can put it in suggesting mode, which means that if I do that and then I type something behind it, so then it's going to draw a line through here and then, okay, give the suggestion here. Hey, replace your story with hello. Obviously that doesn't make sense, but just so you guys can kind of see what that looks like, there are other options for how that works. And then there's just viewing, read or print the final document. Most of the time things are going to be in editing mode. But that, again, this suggesting mode is a really good place for educators to be too, if they want to kind of help proofread colleagues or student documents and things like that. All right. I think those are most of the basic things in here. Again, it's a pretty basic word processor, but there are ways that you can definitely make it a little more robust. Thanks.